The good news is that they made quite a bit of progress between day 1 and day 2.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about Pennhurst Paracon in Spring City, Pennsylvania. If you can't tell from my oddly amateur porn style setup, that's way too early for me to say the P word on here, but still. Basically, I'm still in Pennsylvania. The event ended a couple of hours ago, and I was going to wait until I got back to Los Angeles to film this, but this hotel room makes me incredibly uncomfortable. And so I figured I might as well maximize my discomfort by also recording the sit-down portion for you here. I've stayed in some bad hotel rooms, but none have made me feel like this in a while, where I feel like I feel dirty. I don't feel good here. The bugs are everywhere. We are on the side of the road. Also, fairly certain that while I was at the event today, someone came into my room. Nothing's gone. Nothing's been moved. Nothing's touched. They didn't replace any towels or anything, but the lights were switched off. So maybe they walked in and just flipped off the lights, but I don't know. I don't trust it. So we're filming things. Hi. You guys have been asking me to do another supernatural paranormal type event since UFOCon. So I started searching horror, paranormal conventions, things like that, and Pennhurst Paracon showed up. What really attracted me to this event originally was that it was actually at Pennhurst Asylum here in Pennsylvania. But the fact that this event was not just going to be in some hotel ballroom, and instead was actually going to be on the grounds of a allegedly / depends who you ask, proven haunted location with a lot of history behind it, that really intrigued me. Actually, you know what? For the sake of this video, I immersed myself with these people. We're going to go ahead and say these are haunted locations. I was a little confused when I was booking my ticket for this thing because the information on the website is mostly confusing and it never got more clear. Even after I bought my ticket, nothing became more clear. There was a drastic lack of information, and that's going to be a theme throughout this entire review. Lack of communication, especially between attendees and event staff, and also event staff and event staff. I ended up getting the most expensive pass because that is what I do for you guys. I do it so you don't have to. I got Supernatural VIP. For Supernatural VIP pass, Paracon and oddities, and then also I had to pick which day I was going to do the ghost hunt / reception / mixer with the celebrity guests. 5 p.m. was the time that I chose for Friday night. The event service fee, this is something you never hear in LA, was only $2. $2 event service fee. I'll pay that. That's fine. Make it $3. Let's go crazy. So in total, I was charged $315.95 for my weekend pass. Do I think that was worth it? We will talk more at the end. I also got in an hour early, and also I think I got 1 or 2 line skips for the meet and greets. I didn't end up using any of the meet and greet passes. Why? I need to come to the terms of the fact that I am not a meet and greet person. I don't know what it is. I've done really one meet and greet for a video. It was Playlist Live, and that was really structured, very intentional. I knew what I was doing. It was awkward as hell. Looking back at this email that I got on the 5th of May, okay, it's currently the 21st as I'm recording this. Limerick will be open for Paracon. Buried at the bottom of that email in the corner down here, it says, don't miss out on our evening with the stars. Friday, May 19th and Saturday, May 20th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So again, different times. And then on the actual website itself, when you go to Pennhurst, it would say May 20th to 21st. Even the Supernatural VIP weekend pass, 20th to the 21st. Yeah, and then here, show access all weekend from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. From jump, there was a lack of communication. And I think that so much would have gone better if they had figured that out immediately. Now, also going into this, because we're going to talk about a lot of the complaints, we're going to talk about my feelings, but I want to make it abundantly clear. 2 things can be true at the same time. Employees can be doing their best with the circumstances that they have, and people have a right to be pissed. Both things can be true. Does that mean that the people who are pissed have the right to verbally berate employees? No. But it's understandable that people are upset when you're paying $300+ to go to an event. So I got in Friday morning. I went and had brunch with my friend who goes to school in Philadelphia. Came to my hotel, got checked in, and I fully was going to leave here and go straight to Pennhurst because I thought I got in at 1 p.m. I can't find exactly where I got 1 p.m. from, but I absolutely thought I got in at 1 p.m. Then I was looking around, trying to figure out more information because I knew I saw 5 p.m. Something else said the ghost hunt starts at 9 p.m. So I'm thinking, do I have to be there at 5? Do I need to be there at 9? Do I have to leave and come back at 9? What's the deal? Too many numbers, not enough clarification, not enough information. There was no schedule on the website. Why did this? Okay, I still haven't seen the schedule. Why? It's on Facebook. While I was in this hotel room after doing my usual check and filming my review of the actual hotel room because it scared the hell out of me. Either Thursday or Friday, there was a post, if it loads. Yeah, so 2 days ago. Important, tonight's event is only for Supernatural ticket VIP holders. Paracon, Oddities, and Expo daytime events begin tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for general admission and 10 a.m. for VIPs. Attention Paracon guests, we apologize for any confusion. To clarify, tonight's Supernatural VIP celebrity reception kicks off our Paracon weekend. 519 Supernatural VIP holders are welcome to arrive at 5 p.m. for their history tour. The celebrity reception begins at 7 p.m., followed by Paranormal Investigating with the Stars, Paracon Oddities, Daytime Exhibit, etc. Goes on tomorrow. Okay? So again, that's Instagram. And I just checked that on a fluke. I was just like, maybe they posted something on Instagram. Instagram is usually my go-to when there's an issue with an event. I never once would think to check Facebook. Not once. Facebook is something that I find when I'm investigating something and I think I hit the gold pot because, oh my God, I found this Facebook post that proves this. That's usually how I use Facebook because I assume that no one uses Facebook anymore because mostly people don't. Now, that is my West Coast part talking. I don't know what the deal is here in Pennsylvania. Okay. Maybe that's an elitist West Coast piece of bullshit. Okay. Who knows? I was under the impression that no one was using Facebook anymore, but everyone here was like, oh yeah, no, it was on Facebook. I was like, okay. Why would I check Facebook? The schedule was posted on Facebook. Why was that not emailed out to ticket holders? Friday when I got here, they had us all line up in our cars outside of Pennhurst. Apparently a bunch of people had showed up at like 1 p.m. as well, or 10 a.m. thinking that the event started on Friday because of the 519 date that was going around. I want to talk about how important I think that going to the Friday night event was for framing the rest of my trip. There was a lot of very good information they gave us, and I think that this was a brilliant way to do this, and honestly something they should prioritize for everyone coming to the event, honestly. I understand that there's money in not prioritizing it because they were able to do the history tour separately throughout the weekend and all of that, but still. Basically, we get in at 5, they get us all checked in, I got my wristband, I got my badge, and I saw that they had flashlights for sale for $5 because I forgot to pack mine. And so I got a flashlight. So we were going to go ghost hunting. And they made it very clear, hey, once you leave your car, get everything you need till 9 because you won't be able to go back to your car till 9. Broke us up into groups. There was probably like 20 or 30 of us per group. I'm not sure of the actual size, but it was a good chunk of people. And we would all go around with a different Pennhurst tour guide. This part was the historical tour of Pennhurst. And I think this was very important to start with because it recontextualizes a lot of the lore and rumors and supernatural paranormal mythos around Pennhurst. And they make it abundantly clear that Pennhurst was not an asylum. Pennhurst was an institution, a state institution that was started for, depends who you ask, good intentions, poor intentions, what have you. It got overcrowded immediately. Of the over 10,500 people that ever lived at Pennhurst before it was shut down, over half of them died there. They talked about how they weren't, violent, mentally insane, criminally insane, just some of the mythos that has gone around about Pennhurst Asylum over the years. They talked about why it was shut down. They talked about the overcrowding. They talked about the neglect that was happening. They talked about just the mistreatment, how if you tried to communicate, they would find out and they would isolate you, just different things that happened at Pennhurst while it was in operation. Very popular Ghost Adventures episode about Pennhurst. And that's how a lot of people have originally heard about Pennhurst. They actually filmed that in Quaker, I believe, the Quaker Hall. I've not seen this in years, but I believe on the episode they filmed upstairs and they claimed that that is where they housed the violent and aggressive patients. And the tour guide did something that was very smart. And he said, were these people violent or aggressive, or were they unable to communicate, being neglected, being ignored by the maybe 2 staff that were assigned to them for 50 plus people that were in this room? Did they see that the only way that someone would come and check on them, help them get changed after sitting in their own mess for 2 days plus days, whatever? Did they see that someone would come and speak to them and give them attention if they threw something at a guard? If they started screaming, if they started making threats, recontextualizing, what's happening in these facilities and things like that. And they made it abundantly clear, listen, regardless of what you heard about this place, it's important to be respectful for the people that were here. They made it abundantly clear, when we're doing the ghost hunt, we don't want to hear you screaming and antagonizing the spirits that you might stumble across and things like that. So the asylum was closed for 2 to 3 decades before it was bought by 3 investors. And they bought it and opened it as a haunted attraction. They bought it and opened it as Pennhurst Asylum, and they put a haunted house into the administration building, the main building of Pennhurst. And there was protesters because Obviously, people grew up around Pennhurst and know exactly what happens there. They know about the lawsuits that went in. They know about why it was shut down. Though they condemned the original, yes, this place is haunted, that type of thing, especially the original reopening with the horrible things that were in the haunted house and the administration, all of that. Said, without that, this place probably would have just crumbled over time, and it wouldn't have been able to raise the money that when other people came in and bought it from them, they wouldn't have been able to, start doing historical tours, start replacing the roofs, start working on making these buildings safe to go into. I believe they called it the current only museum for disability on campus is in there. And so I was able to walk through that, which was very interesting and yes, horrific. And I want to make that abundantly clear. But, it's something where you don't really think about, this is a dark part of history. I don't think there's anything wrong with not hiding it. There's a reality to it there. And the thing is that was crazy about this whole weekend is that there were people at Paracon who had been patients or, stayed and lived at Pennhurst while it was still in operation. And they would talk to us. Some people had different experiences. So the woman in the hat used to live here.
Margaret left and you got here in 1953. 56 and left in 72. Margaret liked it here. It was a very nice place for you.
I believe Margaret said that she came when she was about 7 and left a few years later. And she actually spoke about how much she loved Pennhurst. She talked about the games they would play, what a great place this was for her to live. And something that I thought was very telling about her experience was she said they always talk about the boys, they never talk about the girls.
I never saw any of these people get abused. Think it's really a shame how they talk about it. But I also thank you all for coming up to Pennhurst. It made me feel really good. I'm not embarrassed and I'm not ashamed.
But that's crazy, when you think about history and how history sometimes in our minds it's so distant when really it's not. That was about 90 minutes, went through a good chunk of the facility that is still currently open. There's still a lot of the facility that is overgrown with brush, not currently safe to go into because of decay. They explained that they had knocked down a few buildings because the decay was just so bad that they had no choice but to. We went into assembly. The assembly is basically like the theater room, essentially, like a theater. And they were like, oh yeah, the original stage, original curtains, all of that. That is where we had the VIP celeb reception. And they had food for us and drinks. Tables all set up, the stage with a couple of panels that they were going to do, and then the celebs were just kind of coming in and milling in. This was interesting for a variety of reasons. So the issue with this is that obviously when you're having people, celebrities, meaning when there's also panels going on, no one can hear anything. At a certain point, they stepped in and said, hey guys, we got to do the panels right now. Let's be respectful. Or, hey, let's keep the celebrities out front or something. I don't know. Your panel is at this time. You come in first and then you can go and chat with people and take photos outside. We still had light at this time. Towards the end, we didn't. But we still had a good amount of light. There was this really funny moment during, I forget which panel it was, but a bat came through, started flying around, especially because one of the other the ghost hunters, they talked about how they hate bats, all this stuff. So that was funny to see it come in because there's no windows in this spot. It's just open. It was very cool. In the assembly, they were like, yeah, we're so lucky that we got at the assembly. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to have access to it. And so that was pretty cool to be in that space. Then we got to go do our ghost hunt. So they led us back to the front where we had been checked in and they said, okay, have at it. The people that I met here. First off, if I did not tell anyone that I was not, a ghost hunter or anything like that, no one would have noticed. Everyone was so nice, so open, so accepting. Once the hunts got underway, some personalities came out, at the end of the day. Ghost hunting is a very personalized method of gathering evidence. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Personalities came out, nothing aggressive, but I could sense the annoyance from a lot of people. But for the most part, in regards to myself, when people would be like, are you an investigator? Are you out here? Are you local? Whatever the places have you investigated? And I would explain, oh no, I'm a YouTuber. I'm here to review Paracon. But I would love to observe, basically, is where I was going. And they were like, oh my God, yes, you have a camera? Another angle, yay, come along with us, There are times where I go into spaces and I very much feel like an outsider. And there are times like this where they were like, and everyone was very excited to explain their equipment to me, the things that they had caught. Everyone has evidence they want to show and things like that. So that was very cool. I believe it was Devin, Quaker, Limerick Basement, Mayflower creeped me the fuck out. Fuck Mayflower. No offense, not fuck Mayflower, but like you get my point. The infirmary, the tunnels, the Rockwell tunnels. We got to go in those. And so the way that they did it is that we basically had free reign. There were employees kind of stationed at the entrances so they would know if we came in, if we came out. Some of them had gear that we could borrow and check out. I just was walking around with my camera and my little flashlight for the most part. And then celebrities were kind of milling around or setting up in certain spots and doing their own sessions. The most frustration that I sensed from hunters this night was actually from the celebrity guests. And I understand that a lot of them were filming while they were doing this. Not all of them, but some of them. Or this is the first time in a while that they've been able to meet up and collab. At the end of the day, these events for the celebrities, they're all just creator meetups. That's all this is, okay? I get it, except these people are also on a different level. So these are like a different type of reality television celebrity. It's honestly fascinating to see the similarities but also differences, because I don't know, it's just it's so fun. Maybe I do need to go get that cultural anthropology degree so I can finally write these papers. I have so much footage from this because I got very excited just going through all the rooms by myself. I wasn't even necessarily, let's say, looking for evidence of ghosts, but I've always been interested in urban exploration. And as someone who travels alone a lot, I'm scared of getting murdered and left in the woods, okay? I don't think that's out of line for me to have that opinion. I don't really get to go do an urban exploration because also I'm a legal adult. I will go to jail. I will be arrested for trespassing. Though I do think a mugshot would do impeccable things for my career. I would sell merch of that in a heartbeat. I do try to avoid being arrested to avoid giving my dad even more anxiety about what I do with my life. To be able to just go and explore all these buildings and kind of have free reign. Yes, there's a bunch of other people, so there is that kind of subconscious safety element where you hear voices downstairs, you know, okay, I'm not alone in this building, which is very nice. But it was just very fun to be able to wander around and document these spaces, and just, it was so cool to just, I'm like clearing rooms by myself, left, right, and center. I was having a lot of fun, but I have a lot of footage. So Patreon is going to get a whole separate B-roll footage of just the ghost hunt footage from that night because it's so much. And then there's also going to be the event B-roll because I filmed a lot. They had something that I thought was very good as well, which they had golf carts running pretty much throughout the entire event, actually, not just this night. The grounds are massive, and for the most part, we're just kind of walking around everywhere. But to go from, say, the infirmary or the tunnels to Quaker and things like that, multiple golf carts running around each time, so that was very nice. So there was a couple of times where they were like, we're going here, do you want to come with us? And I would just hop on a golf cart with a couple of people. So that's how I found the tunnels. I never would have found the tunnels otherwise. Interesting to see a place where there's a lot of history and there's a lot of, you know, sadness and, you know, things going on in there, but also just like, it's crazy to see like hangout spot found 2007, graffiti from kids that just found a cool spot to hang out, or, you know, graffiti from people who are trying to make you think that they're doing human sacrifices there, you know? So it's just the explorer in me. I was having a lot of fun exploring this place, especially at night. From 9 to 1 a.m. we were able to have basically free reign. I left a little before 1. And so, yeah, honestly, I think that makes the ticket price worth it alone. Even if you don't do Paracon itself, that hunt was very fun. And sure, the group environment, kind of touch and go. As someone like me who's very curious and wants to see how different people approach different things, it was interesting to see how different people did different, like, actual full-scale investigations in different spots. There was an investigation in the infirmary that I basically kind of became a part of. There was a ghost that may or may not have been throwing rocks at us. Just saying. And I got it on camera one time, and I'll admit, you know,
Can you stop? You did that? Did you do that? I saw your hand move.
Huh?
Brian.
No.
No, he's got both hands on the camera.
You sure?
I think I got that. Do I believe in ghosts? I believe that there are things that it can't explain, and there are things that I've experienced that I can't fully explain, that I can't justify away. But I also think that a healthy dose of skepticism is important in life. A lot of the evidence that I saw from previous investigations just look like dust particles, okay? I don't know how real orbs are. The orbs are where you can't tell me. I'm sorry. I got a lot of evidence of orbs. The feeling I got in Mayflower the entire time, even yesterday and today, I went up there again. I started filming more again today because I was like, it was really cool as well to see these spaces at night and also see them during the daytime all lit up, and see what looks scary with your flashlight looks completely different with sunlight beaming through it. And that was just really cool to see that contrast and have that comparison for myself. I'm such a goober about this. I was having so much fun. And obviously with the ghost hunt, we got access to way more spaces. Like, for example, the Devon basement where Candyland is and all of that. We did not get access to that during the day. Same with the second floor. Anyways, if you want to see my awkward ghost hunt investigation footage, you should subscribe to my Patreon. Day 1, Supernatural VIP. I was supposed to get in at 10. That was part of what I paid for, was access earlier. And then same with VIP, was supposed to get in at 10. General admission was supposed to get you in at 11. So I got a little bit of a late start. It was a late night. I was still adjusting to the time change for myself. It's 3 hours ahead here from LA. Got there right around 10. Parked, no big deal. They had parked us in a different spot than last time. And then the line started. I want to make it abundantly clear they fixed it for today for the most part from what I could see. But starting with a line where everyone is in the same line and then it breaks off never works. People get pissed off, and without fail, you have general admission people getting in before paid VIP, and people are going to be pissed. Quite a few people who had 11 o'clock tours who were Supernatural VIP or VIP and did not get in until after 11. And then you have people who are now demanding refunds because they missed their tour time. Just something to think about at the end of the day. And I also want to make the clarification as well, because a lot of people were telling me that the last event the Paracon had was actually 2019. It was much smaller as well. I have a hard time with that when I hear it for events, because you also made more money. You know what I'm saying? It's more people. Yeah, they paid more money. You got $300 from me. I would like to get in at 10, you know? Like, honestly, if it weren't for the fact that I'd gone Friday and gotten my badge then, and someone started walking the line and said, hey, if you already have your badge, come on this way, I wouldn't have gotten in before probably noon. Basically, what was causing the holdup was bag checks and security, which is good. You should be having people go through security. That's good. Great. No cutting quarters. Perfect. Love it. We love security. Except when I got up there and there was a whole metal detector that you guys weren't utilizing, because it seems like that was meant for VIP or something. Like that was supposed to be a separate line for something. And so I was able to walk right through that, no problem. But like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it was being utilized right. And then you have people rushing and getting all pissed off and standing in line and yada, yada, yada. And it was raining, so that never helped things. Everyone's always getting me mad because it's raining. Finally get inside. A bunch of people were still setting up because apparently a bunch of vendors were also having issues with getting inside and getting all set up. So the courtyard of Philadelphia, Quaker, and Mayflower is mainly where the main oddities booth was. It's the big black tent. And also in that big black tent is where the panels were during the actual days. Now again, this schedule was only online. Facebook. Some of the meet and greet booths were under another tent right in front of Quaker. And this is originally where Destination Fear, Corey was, another group of people that I didn't know, and then the Mountain Monster guys. Side note, the Mountain Monster guys, incredible vibes. Out of everyone of the celebrity guests, they were always incredibly excited. And also they were the only ones I would say that were actually wandering around pretty much the entire event individually. They weren't like walking around in a group. They were like all wandering around by themselves, stopping for photos, whatever, getting all hooting and hollering. It was great. And I'm saying hooting and hollering, I mean it. They were shouting constantly. If someone comes up and take a photo, they just start shouting at each other. Very fun, very exciting. Project Fear were definitely the most popular people there this trip. I gotta say that. I thought it was going to be the ghost hunter people. No. I'm not up to date on the current state of paranormal television. I'm just not. My understanding, because there was a panel, Destination Fear was a show on the Travel Channel that had 4 seasons, 4 people on it, and their whole shtick is that one of the group picks a destination none of the others know until they're there. And that's their whole thing. They do ghost investigations. They make each other sleep in separate buildings and stuff. Thing is that they were canceled by the Travel Channel, start something else on a new name that was still a paranormal show. They created Project Fear, which is now, because of a Kickstarter, going to be moving on to YouTube in another month or so. But they were definitely the most popular people. So they were originally under the tent right next to Corey, but they had to move them because their line was so long. It was causing issues for the other people that were under the tent. And also it was wrapping down into the oddities booth, which was going to eventually prevent people from being able to get into certain booths for the oddities fair. So they moved them into the walkway in front of Mayflower and wrapped the walkway with people. When I tell you, these people did not sit down once. I don't know if they even got a lunch break yesterday or today. They showed up at around 11:30 today, and they were still going by the time I left at 5. As far as the groups of people that I recognized here, it was a lot of older couples, groups, all older, And when I'm saying older, I mean probably 30s and older, okay, is like what I'm referring to as older. That's not older. When I'm saying adults, I'm referencing like 30 and older. 30 and older, but mostly a lot of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, older. A lot of couples. I think the group that I investigated with in the infirmary, I think that was 2 couples that was investigating together. I think they were all in their 40s, honestly. And then a lot of families. I was talking with one woman yesterday at lunch. It was like, yeah, you know, every October that's our family vacation. We do 2 weeks of ghost hunting. We pick a location and that's our whole trip. And I don't know, it was a lot of people like that who like, this is like their family hobby is going ghost hunting together. And I just thought that was very sweet. And like, it was interesting to see the dynamics of like families getting along in this context like this, and that love trying to find evidence of the paranormal. And I thought that was like really cool, because I thought about the concept of me ghost hunting with my dad and my brother, and I think I would murder them. I think that they would become ghosts. A lot of women who came alone, actually older women who came alone, who were also like excited to like do investigations and things like that. But as far as Project Fear goes, it was a lot of the younger people, so like people's kids and you know, like adult children that were there and things like that. There were like young couples and things like that, but there wasn't a lot of people who were like me coming alone. And then a lot of people who were like, oh yeah, no, my children are obsessed with them, but I don't know who they are, but they got in line to get photos for their kids and things like that. Same with Corey. I was hearing that quite a bit. Bunch of other vendors in the Devon Hall. The issue with the Devon Hall is that it was, once you left the oddities building, if you didn't know that the Devon Hall was open, you would not go up there. There was nothing else over there that would lead you over there. They had some signs that said like Jack Osborne, vendors, more, I think. But they weren't propped up. They were laid down like against the railings. They had a bunch of vendors in there. I think I got enough footage of all of them, but I'm not entirely certain, because when I say there was like nooks and crannies that you would like weave through in and out to get to these rooms, and vendors were, some of them were getting really pissed because they were like, is it busy? Like there's no one that's coming in here. And at the start of the day, I got to explain to them like, oh no, there's just a lot of people still in line. Like there's a lot of people not in here yet. When it was just Quaker and Mayflower that were open to the public. Yeah, everything else was guided tours and things like that. And they had different mini ghost hunts going on where you would get an hour with equipment and a guide and all this stuff, which was good. A good deal of the vendors that I spoke to, they were like, oh, what are you thinking about the event so far? And I was like, I think communication needs a lot of work. Oh yeah, food. So our cars were far, and it's not like we can walk to a 7-Eleven from Pennhurst. So the food source was a tent with a barbecue. There was hamburgers and hot dogs, chips, brownies, cookies, sodas, waters, iced teas. I think that's it. I have a photo. I waited in line for 50 minutes for a hot dog. And I know for a fact that one of the women that was working the grill and running things was the owner's mother, because she had told us the night before when she was doing the food for the reception. I was like, how hard is it to get food trucks out here? Because I'm thinking like it's a logistical thing. Like there's the hills, but they had cars coming in. Surely food trucks could make it. And then today I did get confirmation that apparently there was 1 or 2 food trucks that had been booked and they backed out. So there were supposed to be food trucks there. Now, Pennhurst people, if you're listening, if you haven't turned it off and said go fuck yourself and blocked me and banned me from all future events already, totally understandable if you have. But I would recommend, because I'm assuming you had vendors pay to have booths there, I would have the food trucks do a little bit of a deposit to be able to get access to this many people. There was a ton of people at this event, and I heard that there's going to be more people next year if you guys do this again next year. If this didn't put a horrible taste in your mouth, I think you made a ton of money this situation. So I hope that this was at least a net gain for you guys. I know a lot of employees are exhausted and over it. Do this in the future again. I don't think asking for a small deposit, to hold their spot is out of line for food trucks, and they would have made bank there, because you guys were charging $10 for hamburgers and then $4 for hot dogs. I got a hot dog, a brownie, and 2 Diet Cokes for the same price as a burger. I don't think we can blame inflation on this one. I did try and stay last night for the Supernatural VIP tour, because though we only got it for 1 night, I realized, how are they going to verify whether or not I came last night or tonight? How are they going to check? And so I was like, also I want to see how they try and verify this, so I decided I was going to stick around. And then I was like, what if one of the employees recognizes me from last night? Because I was talking to quite a bit of them that night. And so I walked up and I was like, hey, how full are you guys tonight for Supernatural VIP? I did do it last night. I would like to partake tonight. If I can, I would love to. And the employee I spoke to, she said, we would love to have you again. The thing is that we are at capacity and people complained. So we're actually over capacity because we had to add a bunch of people. So as much as we would love for you to stay, we would prefer that you didn't. And I was like, totally understandable. Figured I asked and I left. Is this video going to be like 17 hours long? I don't know. There's a lot to talk about. So today I got there early. I got there probably at like 9:15 actually, with my little Starbucks. And this time they parked us and then said, please stay with your cars. Anytime someone tried to go join one of their other groups or something like that, they said, please wait by your cars. And then they said at 9:30, if you have VIP or supernatural VIP, you can follow me over to the porta potties. Everyone else, stay by your car until 10:45. Now, obviously, I was there super early. I was one of the first people inside today. So I don't know if they were able to maintain that the rest of the ticket section, but that is a super easy way to do this. And then once we got in line, they made it very clear. You already have your tickets. You have your lanyards. You go through security. You skip the ticket booth. Go right on in. So instead of going down into the grass area where the courtyard is and the oddities set up and the big black tent, you had to walk all the way down the walkway to either go into Devon or make the left and go past Quaker into the backside of the oddities building to Mayflower and all this stuff, which I think was probably the best way to do that. And they kept that pretty closed the entire time. They had someone standing there like, hey, this is just the exit. And honestly, I think it helped the flow of traffic as well, much better, but it made more people come through today. So changed it so that you had to kind of weave through all of the different vendors in Devon versus walking straight down the hall and skipping rooms. You had no choice but to go around and go through the vendors and look around. Something I did today that was a little bit of a shenanigan. It's going to get its own Swell Shenanigans podcast episode, but it was very enlightening and I do want to talk about it, which is why it's getting its own episode on the Swell Shenanigans. I tried to go and get a tarot reading or a reading from every psychic / medium that was there. I got quite a few. That's what I did quite a bit today, was spent a lot of money on mediums and card readings and palm readings and a cleansing. I got cleansed. The day went by much quicker today. I think because I was doing all the palm readings and that takes up a bit of time. I actually did some buying today of a few things that I liked yesterday. However, this trip, obviously, because I have to fly back to LA, I only have a carry-on. It's how I travel. I only have so much room. I think they were the ghost store or the ghost hunt store. I bought an EMF reader and I bought this one because it was $34.99. It was cheaper than the other ones. The other ones were pushing $70. And also this one has the full light up. It's got the full sensor bars. As far as my experiences that I had this trip, the only time that I truly felt watched, uncomfortable, my chest was tight, all of this was in Mayflower, both Friday night, yesterday, and today. Specifically the third floor. The basement, it's fine. The third floor, though, makes me incredibly uncomfortable. I believe that's where some of the dorms were, but apparently a bunch of people were having a lot of bad feelings and bad energies in Mayflower. Even during the daytime, I hate it in here. I feel so uncomfortable. Way more people, way better lit. It's so unlike. I don't like it. I hate this feeling. There's our friend again. So what I neglected to mention is that the Museum of Disability and the Museum for Pennhurst is all actually on the first floor of Mayflower. I guess it really comes down to whether or not you believe that items hold more energy than, say, places. I don't know what the deal was, but that was the only place where I genuinely was like, I can't be up here for too long. I'm gonna have a panic attack. I just felt watched. I kept getting crazy EMF reads today. It was just a very uncomfortable feeling. That was probably the only spot where, even though Friday night, there were other people on the same floor as me, I was very uncomfortable clearing the rooms. I'm sure you'll hear me whispering like, I don't like this fucking at all. My chest feels really tight. I don't like this. Like it was so uncomfortable. It just was not a good feeling. I felt watched. I felt thinking about it now, my hands are getting tight. I don't like it at all. Our guide Friday was talking about where he had experiences that he felt uncomfortable. And he explained that the basement of Devon, not Candyland, which is the place that a lot of people have experiences in. It's like a playroom, essentially. They call it Candyland. There's a lot of toys down there. There's a child's bed down there, things like that. A bunch of the celebrity were doing an EMF EVP session down there Friday night. I filmed a little bit of that. He was like, not over there, but on the other side, there's so much decay of the building that it feels very Silent Hill. It feels like the apartment buildings in Silent Hill. And immediately I was like, I have to go there. So I was walking through there, no problem, not having any issues. And I was like, okay, like if this isn't causing me any issues, like maybe I'm just too excited about the fact that I'm urban exploring right now. Under supervision, but still, you know, like the most goody two-shoes way to urban explore. Pay money. But yeah, Mayflower was the only building that I was severely uncomfortable in. Even up floor of Quaker, like I was not uncomfortable at all, which is where a lot of people have a lot of experiences in. And then today I did pay $22 to do the mini ghost hunt of the maintenance sublevel because they just recently cleared that up and recently opened it up. So we were one of the first groups to go in there, and there was literally nothing in there. Not a vibe. It was cold, but also, you know, it's like, is it the spirits or is the stone just sucking any heat from the air? There's a reason that there are people who make no ice freezers in the dirt. For all of its faults, I had a very good time here, and I want to make that abundantly clear. And there's certain things that like could just be tweaked. Communication, I don't think that's wrong to ask for. What is wrong with, hey, here's the lineup, we're going to email it to you. Here's the map. Here's everything you need to know before Paracon 2023. An email of everything in one. Not just advertisements for upcoming events or more ghost tours or anything like that. Just everything in one. And don't bury it in the email. One straight, here's information for Paracon email. You have our information. You should be able to do that. And I just think that's important. It'll be interesting to see next year if there's any more buildings opened up, things like that. I really hope you guys are really active with sharing the progress of, you know, opening up more buildings and things like that. I think that would be a really good thing as well for people who were frustrated with this event, who left frustrated. There was a woman who like lives in the area who was livid yesterday. Like she left early Friday, left early yesterday. I didn't even see her today, so I don't even think she came. She was just disappointed about a lot of things. Every time she would see me, she would just start shaking her head and she'd have more things to tell me about. I was like, okay, thank you. But also like, oh. And I have to be clear here. I have to share my bias. I think that if I hadn't done Friday night, I probably would have been way more hostile and way more aggressive with this review. But going Friday night and speaking with a lot of the employees and stuff and doing that historical tour, you see how much of these people care about this place and how they're all just trying to, you know, bring awareness to the reality of what happened here and things like that. I think that's important, but a lot of people don't have that perspective, and so I don't blame them for being mad. Also, it's a lot of money. Forget me flying out here, sharing, you know, how some of the money earned from this event, you know, went into, you know, new restoration projects or new projects with opening up Pennhurst even further in different buildings and halls and things like that. Like, hey guys, we were able to get a new roof for this building, you know, things like that. I think that is a great way to get more people excited about the preservation aspect of Pennhurst, because that's something that I was really interested in and I wanted to ask more questions about, and I just didn't get the chance to. I mean, the price with the ghost hunt, I think makes up for a lot of things. I that was really fun that night. And then even during the daytime, even if you don't want to pay for it, like there were accesses that we got free reign of during Friday that we did not get access to without a paid tour today or yesterday. So I think that kind of makes up for the cost of things. I met a lot of really great people, a lot of attendees, panels. Yeah, you know, I think having even the oddities booth in the same tent as the panels booth, I think is a mistake, because there was quite a few bit of tables under the big black tent where there was also the main panels, and that led to a lot of issues, I think, with sound. It was not uncommon to be speaking to someone at a booth and then not being able to hear them because there were people asking questions with the mic. There was a lot of feedback issues and things like that. So I think moving a tent into that big black open space, I get some people need power for things, but I mean, extension cords exist, generators exist. You guys had generators. You had quite a few generators on site. So obviously there is an ability to do that. And then letting people know like, hey, do you need power for your booth? No? Cool. Here's where you'll be, you know, that type of thing. You have more people spread out and people are seeing more of the grounds. I get there's certain limitations, but hopefully by next year, more things are opened up and it's a safer space for people to be able to wander around a bit more. I just think communication is such a big deal for me with these events. This was a very cool experience, and I want to make that abundantly clear. And though there were people who were like, this isn't what I wanted, they still had elements that they liked. There were people who flat out hated it, and I think that's okay as well. If you want to see more B-roll that didn't make it into this video, Patreon's going to have the uncut for both the ghost hunt and the events themselves. Swell Shenanigans is going to get a solo Swell episode of me talking about my experience getting several readings done in one day. Really going to be it. Have you ever heard of Paracon? Have you ever been to Pennhurst? Have you been to any other paranormal conventions? Are there any that you are familiar with or have heard of that you would like me to check out? Please remember to give me at least 2 weeks notice, especially if I have to leave the state. Thank you. You guys always tell me the day before. I am not made of money. Have you ever stayed in a creepy hotel room? Let me know. comment down below. Reminder, I have a podcast, the Swell Shenanigans podcast. Reminder, I have merch. I'm sure there will be something here for this video. The vibes are spooky. I don't know. Something fun, something ghost related. I might as well. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. You can also explore my Patreon, the link down below. Like to follow me on social media. That'll be all up here. That's gonna be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Part of me still thinks I should clickbait that I was possessed or that a ghost grabbed me or something. Thank you, Andrew, Allen, Awful, BJ, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Crispy, Crash, China, Dirty One, Don, Elliot, Donnie, Evan, Eric, Eyal, Hopeless, Homer, Incognito, Isaiah, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Justin, Kim, Kristen, Lamb, Lex, Lisa, Louise, Mae West, Madeline, Matt, Matthew, Meme Lord, Michael, Michael J, Michael T, Micah, Nathaniel, Pat, Penn, Philip, Richard, Rob, Rosie, Red, Robert, Ross, Ryan, Sam, Serena, Skylar, Simon, Taj, Timothy, Heavenly, Plastic, Tyler, Tenzin, Tom, Thomas, Qwerty, Victor, Wendy, Will, William, Zendry's Wink.